Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. And I ain't gonna even sing the intro because you already heard it before. When this is a serious matter, man, the intro is not that serious, right? Now, there's been a lot of videos made in the last couple days about Money Sign Suede. What led up to the demise, to his death, who did it, why they did it. And like I usually say in every video, that doesn't matter. But this here's the raw, uncut version of what really happened. Why, how, but not who. Who is never a question that we should ask. That really doesn't matter. We're not here for the assistance of law enforcement. They have a job to do, and we have to do what we do. Yesterday, myself and Dubs were given a call about 8 o'clock. And prior to that phone call, nothing was on social media as far as YouTube or any of these platforms where content is created. There was a couple things that were posted on Instagram, maybe even TikTok, concerning the death. But of course, when you hear it and you see it, you always have to question the motivation behind it. Is it real? Did it really happen? Is it just something that people put out there? They're fishing, for content purposes, for views, for clicks. I myself see things and I take note of it, but at the same time, if there's no real force behind it, if there's no real stat, then I just push on because I don't want to be someone who spreads propaganda, bullshit, and drama. That's definitely not what I'm here for. I'm here to speak the real, the raw, the uncut. Now, when we received this call at 8 o'clock, it was from a very well-known person in the music industry. I'll just say that. And he actually was having a conversation with us and let us know what had happened. What was the truth behind what had happened to Money Sign Suede. Now, when I put out my first video yesterday, and I believe myself and Dubs, I put out a video about a minute after Dubs. We broke the news. We were the first two to do it on YouTube. Not necessarily the social media platforms, but definitely YouTube. And the channel, the content took off as it should. It was somebody very popular had passed away who was killed while in prison. You would only believe that people would click on it. They'd want to pay attention to what was going on and want to hear the news. Now, there was a lot of people that were shocked, and there was a lot of people that weren't. Those that weren't were people that kind of know the system, kind of know the get down, kind of knows what happens behind those walls. It wasn't a news flash other than the person who it happened to. It happens every day. Anyway, so we're having this conversation with this guy, and he lets us know a little bit about a lot of it. And of course, there was details that myself and Dubs chose to leave out of our video just based on the fact that, first and foremost, this was something that his family was having to deal with. This was something that was nobody's business, really. And, what he had told us, we did in confidence. Now, subsequently, we have had conversations, and we understand that without saying too much, there's a few more details that we can let out since they were put out there anyways. So this is the real version. He calls us, we're having the conversation, he lets us know what happened. Now, he heard the news through a confidential source that I can't speak on, that was very closely connected to the family. And according to what was told to us, this wasn't the very first time that Money Sign Suede had been hit. About a month prior to this incident happening, he had been hit in the same prison. Now, usually what happens when you're hit, you get stabbed up. 99% of the time, they're going to place you in administrative segregation, the oil, and then they're going to start to do their investigation. If they catch the people who hit you, they're going to talk to them, they're going to talk to you, and then you're going to have to go to a committee meeting, ICC, where they decide whether they're going to place you back in general population. He was on a general population yard, in Soledad. There's a lot of people that are saying, he was in PC or he was in SNY or he was in this and that. No, he absolutely was in general population, functioning as raza. I'll just say that. To which group he was affiliated with, that's up to you to decipher. That's not up to me to tell you. I don't speak on those politics. Now, I'm going to say this. He definitely was on general population when he was murdered. So about a month after being hit, after going through committee and denying, the opportunity to lock it up, because he was definitely presented with that opportunity. When you get blasted off the yard, they send shooters at you, or you get caught up in a situation, you get blasted, you don't necessarily have to lock it up. Now, if administration feels that you become a safety concern to that prison, they can put you on walk alone status. They can give you a soft shoe chrono. They can place you in administrative segregation pending an outcome. And what the committee decides to ultimately do is what they're going to do with you. Whether they're going to put you on a different yard or transfer you out of the prison, that's totally up to them. Anyone who's been down and has been incarcerated that knows. And I'm giving it to you from an aspect and a point of view of someone who has been on 4 yards, has been on 3 yards, has been through the committee process, has walked in the same shoes on a general population yard, and knows exactly what time it is. So when he was presented with this about a month ago, he declined the offer to PC up. He declined the offer to go to a bad yard. That's truly the measure of that man. That man had heart. Whatever anyone says about him and everything that I've heard and I've seen, he wasn't a talker of sorts. He wasn't woofing. He definitely was of the younger generation and carried himself as such. He definitely had a voice that was heard, but he wasn't the type to speak on anybody's business and definitely wasn't the type to lock it up. So he did it. And when you do that, when you sign off on that chrono and you decide that you're not going to go to a SNY yard and you're going to stay on GP, they're definitely going to place you back in a general population area. So he was released about a week prior to this incident taking place back onto a yard. Now, what took place at that point is up for speculation. It's totally, the only people that know are the ones that are in the know. Will we ever be in the know? Quite possibly not. Now, the reason behind him being hit, I've heard several different versions. I've heard all the way from he had something bad on his jacket, all the way to the point of that he was saying the N-word too much or disrespecting those around him, and they didn't take too lightly to it. Now, there's always going to be a lot of assumptions, but when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself. It's quite normal to speculate and to wonder, right? But when you go assuming and putting something on it, you're doing way too much. Now, this individual definitely had the cora and the heart to make his presence be felt on that general population yard. There's not very many that do that. I've seen a lot of situations where people will come back because they know they have not done nothing wrong. They try to clean it up. And in some cases, man, they're absolutely right. And they get that ghetto pass and it's all good. They finish out their time correctly and they push on. But there are some situations where maybe it was a faulty or a bad call and he has the paperwork or he has the mouthpiece to prove that it was. Now, depending upon the group that you're with, the people that you rock with, depends, and the situation depends on if you get them get backs. Now, there are cases where people get a little checking, they get a little bit of medicine, and then they're up out the way for a while. When they come back, it's all good in the hood. And there are some cases where once you're deemed bad or it's not a good situation, it never will be. In your mind, you might think, I'm not a punk. I'm not going to lock it up. Ain't no one going to push me up off the yard. But numbers will always dictate the final say in the program. You can't fight everybody, Holmes, especially when you don't know where it's coming from. You could be rocked to sleep. It could be all good in the hood. You could be told, hey, you got the ghetto pass. You're good now. It's clean. And then you go to the shower and you get blasted in the neck. And whether or not he did something wrong, he had bad paperwork, he was looked at a certain way, all that is irrelevant to the fact that he was definitely murdered in prison. Now, do they have suspects is another question people are asking. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they're not going to let us know anything. There's always suspect. One thing about prisons and even prisons nowadays is people talk, people drop kites, people speak on things. And that's the power of persuasion in prison. If people are offered a certain thing and they are a confidential identifier already, meaning that they already work for the administration, they're already pointing people out, The story's definitely going to take a twist and turn. They're definitely going to find who did this within the next couple of days. It's unfortunate, but that's just the world we live in and how prison is nowadays. Back in the 70s and 80s, people were getting blasted left and right, and there were still people walking around on the same yard that did it, never to be told on, because one thing you're taught and embraced and blessed with is the knowledge to know you mind your own fucking business, especially when you're in those prison yards, because you could be the next victim. So people kept their mouth shut. That's the way they were laced. That's the way they were bred. They were cut from a different cloth back in them days. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. I'm not saying the game is watered down. I'm just saying administration has their fillers out there, and they have ways to work stories up out of people, offering them, certain things, and people jump on it, especially people that are living in desperation and hopelessness. Now, this guy, Money Sign Suede, to the average person, he's not known, but to the music industry, young rappers up and coming, he's a very well-known individual. We all know his story. I did a story about him a few months back, and I pretty much foretold this. I said in that, if you go back and look, I said, he finds himself incarcerated. He got caught up in a house, it wasn't a house party, it was a party thing. People got laid down, people were shot. People were looking at him a certain way. He gets locked up, gets out, gets caught with a strap, then gets caught with a strap again, allegedly. And was just going down that dark path, was letting maybe the money get to his head, the notoriety, whatever it was getting to his head, and he was definitely getting caught up or just having bad luck. Sometimes you just got the bad luck. I used to be like that in my hood. The vault, it could be 100 people fighting. I'm the one that gets locked up for it. It just happens like that, But whatever the case may be, he found himself incarcerated, not doing a lot of time. He had a very great lawyer, a very well-known lawyer that obviously was able to do his job correctly and get him as very minimal time as he could with the case file he had. Now, for the people that are out there saying, and I've heard so many different stories, hey, shout out to the homeboy Dubs, who shot a great video. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. He shot a great video on it this morning, talking about the clout chasers and the people that are making up all these damn stories and not really knowing what's going on. Like I said, myself and Dubs, it was brought to our attention first. We were given a lot of specifics, a lot of the get down, but of course we will never put certain things out there because that's not our wiggle. That's just not, the wigglization ain't real when it comes to that. There's no reason to do that. And it's none of our business. Whoever told us, his name will never be spoken on. One thing I know for sure is this, for the people that want to know exactly why he died, it will come out eventually. I'm not here to tell you exactly, because there can be so many different reasonings behind it. But I have heard one thing that's been in the wind, that's been spoken on a lot, is that he had something on his jacket that wasn't good. And I'm not here to put a jacket on him. I've never seen paperwork on it. So I can't say that it was or it wasn't. But several people are saying that he had something bad that was very unbecoming on his jacket. And he got caught up. Now, me knowing what I know about prison, if you have anything bad on your jacket, Holmes, they're not going to release you to a general population yard. Maybe back in the days you were able to wiggle. Maybe back in the days you were able to hit yards with R's on your jacket or things of that nature. But nowadays, they're going to recognize that right off the top unless they make a fatal mistake and then things like this happen. And you're not going to be released to the yard. For those that are saying he had an R on his jacket, because I've heard it several times, or that he had a bad case, I don't think that's to be the case. I don't think that's true or real, because they're not going to let that pass. And I'm sure him knowing that he would have something like that on his jacket would not be dumb enough to go out there in the yard. Your notoriety and what you got going on, and even your feria on the streets, it pays no dividends while you're in prison. It doesn't matter, homie. It doesn't matter who you are. All that matters is what you are and in what place you're at. You could be wiggling on one yard and it's all good in the hood, and then be placed on another yard and it's up under someone different. And it's a different story, Holmes. What a difference a day makes is definitely a saying that pertains to prison. That's facts. You wake up one day, the sun's shining, the next day it's a fucking cold thunderstorm. And that's a fact. So, like I said, this wasn't the first time that he was blasted. The first time he got hit once and was placed in the oil. Now, what was going through his head? I know myself, if I'm blasted off the yard and I don't know the reasons behind it, obviously they're thinking something, and whether I go back to that yard or not is totally up to me. Now, myself, if I'm blasted on a yard by my own people or by people close around me, I'm definitely going to take the initiative to get off where I'm at as soon as I am released. And that's just my ways of thinking. No matter what type of situation it's going to put me in, I already know I was taken off the yard one time, so I'm definitely going to get on that yard and first line movement, first medical movement, first child line movement, first yada, I'm going to get off where I'm at. and make someone else the victim, because I'm definitely not going to be put in a precarious situation that's going to jeopardize my health. I'm going to jeopardize someone else's health. And that's my way of thinking. That's always been my way of thinking. That's why I'm in the position I'm in, because I chose to go to the yard and get off where I was mad at, because I already knew it was a no-win situation. Now, I don't know this guy's situation. I don't know if he had some get-backs or if it was just, a misidentification. Whatever the case may be, he was murdered, right there in Soledad, on the yard in the showers. Now, let me tell you about the showers, having done time. There's different types of prison. If you go to an old school prison like San Quentin, there's 6 showers. It's group showers. And one thing I know about those showers is they release everybody, a whole tier out at the same time, and it's called nuts to butts. Everybody's packed in there. It's like a big old, group of lions in there, and everyone's trying to shower. You get in, you get out, you get on, you get back to your cell. It is what it is. Everyone's trying to take care of their business. That has been in the past a place, because there's so many people packed into one area that hits do happen. Now in a place like, say, Tracy, which was at the time when I was in Tracy, it was reception. There was mainline, I think Z-Dorm or I think Z-Dorm was, if I'm correct, was mainline. But they definitely had, showers, and they would do it one tier at a time. And, they would release certain cells. So there wasn't as many people. So nothing really went down unless, it was a fight, because say they released 4 cells, all 4 cells of those are northerners, unless it was a removal happening, a pegada, that could take place. But more than likely, shit didn't go down in the showers. It happened in them hallways or the yarda, just based on, that's just the way it was. But, these showers on a lot of these 4 yards and these 3 yards, they're single man showers. So anyone who's really with the activities or really doing their thing, you already know it's a buddy system. You and your cellie go to the shower. Your cellie waits outside of the shower, shoes on, ready while you shower, watching your back, because you can trust your cellie sometimes. And then when you come out, you put your shoes on before you come out of that shower. You're already posted up, toalla around your neck, posted on that tier. If anyone, they have a shower on the top and the bottom tier. If anyone's coming up looking sketchy, you already know, get off where you're mad at. Let your cellie know he can slap on his shoes, grab his thang, and it's on. Obviously, in this situation, he was maybe single cell status, because he was released to the shower, and to be hit and found in the shower definitely means he wasn't SB. There was no one there to watch his back. That's unfortunate, because in most cases, especially with the raza in prison, you always are in pairs all the time. Anyways, for the reason why he was exactly hit, I know you clicked on this to find out why. That's a question that I ask myself. Maybe I know more than I'm saying, but I will never say it. But one never knows, does one? One thing I do know for sure, gente, is be vigilant in the questions that you ask, but also be aware that some answers you don't want answered. And don't pay no attention to these people fighting for clickbait and lying, man. This guy's family, condolences to his family. They have not put out a GoFundMe. People have not talked to his girlfriend or his sister, and things of that nature. Be very vigilant also in the ways that you watch these people, because they're just doing it and they're trolling for clickbait and clout chasing. Anyways, that's the real. Like I said, very unfortunate. Hopefully we can move on from this. This will absolutely be the last video I do on this. And I want to leave that man's memory the way it was, man. And that's to the sky, homie. Whether or not he had bad cases or things of that nature, I don't truly believe that, but I don't know. With that being said, I hope you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming to you. And remember, at the end of the day, man, unfortunate things happen in unfortunate situations. But such is life. When you take the chances, you make them penitentiary chances, you go in, and only those that come out can speak on it. And even then, you shouldn't. Man, he went in for a little bit of time and never got out. It's ugly, With that being said, move smooth with a purpose. Get everything you want coming to you. If you like this, hit the like and subscribe. If you don't, you can hit the thumbs down. Damn. Rest in peace, money sign Suede. It's fucked up.